Hi, everyone. Trust you are good today. Yes, this is Dari here, uh, AWS Technical Mentor. Yes, so I thought to do this short video quickly to address these very popular and pertinent questions I get almost every now and then, especially from those that are new to cloud technology or starting their career in cloud and looking out to actually get the attention of recruiters or put out what they've done out there, create a kind of profile for themselves. And the question has always been, so Dari, how do I put out myself out there? How do I create a portfolio for myself as a cloud engineer? And the perspective most I've actually asked this question has always been looking at, developers that write code, right? It's easy for you to say you've done this project and then recruiters ask you, so where's your GitHub? What's it called? GitHub profile. And then recruiters can go into your GitHub profile and judge you according to how many PRs you've made, how many code you've done, and all of those green shades, right? And even for the UI UX, right? UI UX people can actually go ahead and then put out one or two designs on Figma and just put it there, and recruiters can have something tangible, they can see it. But the challenge has always been, and that is why I always get the question that, Dari, how can I also put out myself and create a profile for myself? Such that when recruiters ask me, what have I done? I can tell them, this is what I've done, or I can show it to them, especially that this is what I have done. So I said, okay, I've got a lot of these questions. Let me ask, especially for those starting their career, right? You starting your career in cloud. So quickly, let me just run through some of what I have done. The first thing first is this, because cloud is very abstract, right? It is not very easy. In fact, I'm not aware of any that would actually pull down a server and put it in a GitHub code, right? However, one thing that you can do is to actually create an image source code, an image repository, right? And that's about you having a Docker account, right? So especially if you have a project if you've done a project that actually has to do with Docker. I remember then that I was learning how to, work with Docker technology, containerization, right? I created a Docker account and having said all, built all of my Docker image on my VM, right, on my test machine. And I just picked it up and just push it to the Docker public repository and just open it out there for everyone to see. So what that does for me is when a recruiter asks or when anyone asks me, what have you done? I simply pick up the link to the Docker repository and just supply the person that, oh, this is an image I built, or these are the images I built, right? And of course, I can also add that into my resume, right? So that becomes something tangible, right? Because now you can see that I don't just tell you I deployed something into the cloud. Now I have it stored somewhere, right? Probably put my signature there, especially on the front page, right? Index.html page. I just edit a little bit of thing and just put my name there or something that has to do with modification, right? Especially when it has to do with copywriting. You just have to do a little just to show your touch, right? And you just put it out there on Docker public repository, or you can use an Amazon ECR, Elastic Container Registry, just to store the image publicly, right? Don't make it private, public, so that anyone can have access to it. So that's one thing that can actually help. Second thing, AWS now have, not AWS, sorry. In cloud, we have what we call infrastructure as a code, right? That is one. Again, you can write your own infrastructure as a code. I use Terraform, CloudFormation, right? You can do a test of that, write something about Terraform. I have a couple of them I wrote. Then in public GitHub, right? So because that actually looks more like you are writing a code, right? It's easier to actually just put it on GitHub and then make it a public repository. So it's easily accessible. So again, what you can do is you can keep updating it, right? You write it today, maybe you use the Terraform, especially maybe Terraform or CloudFormation or Pulumi, whichever is best, or you are learning to use. You can use it to deploy a server today. Once you're done with the server, you go again, you say, okay, I'm going to use this to deploy a database. I'm going to use it to deploy a pipeline or what have you, right? So the more you write, the more you push to GitHub. So that shows that you are not just a cloud engineer by saying, right? Now you have an understanding of how GitHub works, especially how to create a pull, how to create a pull request, how to push, how to pull, merge and all of those stuff. And of course, you actually have an idea of how to write an infrastructure as a code, which is very, very interesting. And of course, it's a very high in demand skill as it is right now. So again, the first thing, a Docker repository where you push your image to. Secondly, you can use your IAC, right, which is actually a code. And then again, one thing I do that's really, really helped me is about documentation, which is a very fantastic way where you can bring out all of those abstraction, all of those services you've created, all of those things you do that you can't lay your hands on, right? You can put all of them in documentation. And when I say documentation, it doesn't have to be the big Word documentation or an enterprise one. It can be as simple as just creating a Word document and outlining your steps, right? Outlining your steps there, and especially putting out or writing about your thought process on why you actually deploy this, on why you deploy that, right? You can actually do that, right? I do that a whole lot. I have a whole lot of documentations that I wrote, troubleshooting, deployments, changes made, and all of those stuff. And then I just write them there. And of course, with that, you can actually put that on your LinkedIn profile, right? You put it on your LinkedIn profile, recruiter sees it, your connections, they see it. And you can go a step further. You can write a blog about it, right? All of those steps, pick out that documentation and establish a blog with it, right? You can expand it. I have a blog at osla.io, right? So that's what I do too. Once I'm done putting all of those documentation down, right? I go ahead and then I make it into a blog, take screenshots of what I have done, of all of those processes step by step, right? And I just put it out there. So what that does is it tells the recruiter that, oh, you don't just say it, you've actually done it. And not just doing it, you have one very important skill, which is a documentation skill that is very, very much needed for cloud engineers, right? Be it anything you are doing in cloud, right? So you can do that too. And one thing I have done that has actually helped, and I can recommend also, is to, especially on your professional media pages, right? Talking about LinkedIn or the job portals, Glassdoor, is to list out all of those skills, all of those technologies that you've actually used one way or the other. Take, for instance, I have on my LinkedIn, Dario Motosho. I have many of the tools I've actually used, from servers, EC2 instances, to the cloud providers I use, database, Postgres, to monitoring services, NetData, Prometheus, Grafana, and all of those stuff. You can also do the same, right? Put it out there, but make sure that you're actually listing the technologies that you use, right? Don't go about lying about it. It doesn't pay, right? Honesty pays, honesty pays. Right? So you can put all of those out. Again, just to recap, use a Docker registry, GitHub repository where you can actually store your infrastructure as a code, right? Documentation, very, very important. Documentation. And then 4, list out all of those technologies that you've used, right? And all of this, apart from you just putting them on your blog post or putting them as a public domain now, you can concise them. You can put them as a concise format in your resume also. Just short key points and what you've achieved with them, right? And that reminds me about writing your resume, right? There are some little details that you need to put there. It's not just about you telling them in your resume that I deployed an EC2 server, right? What did you achieve deploying that EC2 server, right? I'd rather tell you that I was able to actually help developers to actually move from production to ensure that they are able to test their codes in staging before moving to production, right? By deploying 2 different EC2 servers for such environment, thereby I'm able to increase the uptime for production facility. And of course, customers are able to enjoy my services. Yeah. So just an idea of what you can put there. It doesn't have to be what I've said. It's just an idea of how I actually put. But then I probably we'll talk about CVs and resumes later if I get more of those questions coming too. But for now, I hope what I've said has actually been able to help you. And of course, very, very much importantly, on how to actually build your profile is to join communities, right? Join communities, the AWS community, Google developers community, join the community and be part of what they are doing there, right? With that, as you are building your portfolio, you are expanding your tentacles, you are networking also, right? That can actually help you a whole lot to build your profile also. And then by the side too, which is very, very important too, I am a fan of soft skill. Build your soft skill also. And of course, all of what I've said, if you are able to do them, it shows that you have some soft skills that are very important. Talking about documenting, talking about communicating, written communication, talking about using of technology, being creative, right? It takes creativity to put out a blog post right there, right? Yes. So I hope this helps you and help you to actually answer this question. If you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out. Probably we'll do some another video to actually address these questions. But then I hope this has been able to address that question for you out there, actually looking out for how can you build your profile as building your profile newly as a new cloud professional. Yes, that was the English I was looking for, cloud professional. Yeah, so thank you for listening in. Catch you sometime later.